Hello fellow sim racers, my name is Jardier, and in this video I would like to give you a bit of a tips and little guide of what buttons I'm using on my current steering wheels in Le Mans Ultimate. It's basically like a split one driver trying to show you what kind of buttons I'm using for the racing in Le Mans Ultimate, and maybe it's gonna help you understand, or maybe it will help you also to preference your buttons for your driving experience, or you can compare. I did this video many years ago when I was using Fanatec for Corsa Competizione, and I thought it would be actually a good tip to do this kind of video again for Le Mans Ultimate with my current wheel, which is Acetec Formula Forte Pro steering wheel. So it has many buttons, a lot of LEDs and stuff like that, but I will try to keep it as simple as possible, and maybe it will help you in some way, and hopefully it's gonna make your gameplay experience a little better. So I will try to do 2 views. I hope it will work, guys. I'm not very good at recording some stuff. I have my steering wheel, and I would like to show you the game so you know what the button actually do with the stuff on the screen. And at the same time, I have a bit of a back camera that I really hope works and you can see everything. At the worst case scenario, I might grab I have actually one more wheel here, Acetec Invicta, which is almost identical to Forte, so I can show you also here what kind of button I'm using. So hopefully it's gonna work, guys. Right, I'm gonna start with the obvious, like literally from the complete basics of the game. Guys, I don't know if I should go to the settings as well, like where is what button, like literally go like to option and here show you what buttons are there. I think you can search here if you are looking for some button that I'm using, or literally everything is right here. But I'm just gonna go at the beginning. One thing that I really like to use is, I think it's a very important one, guys, is I remove shift to neutral. I really recommend this one, by the way, but I don't know, depends on you guys. I really recommend this one. If you watch some of my streams from the past, you would know that Valentin really needs one. So I remove the shift to neutral button, and then I can't remember, is it calibrate? Or, yeah, here in calibrate, you have prevent downshifting to neutral. If neutral is configured, I have that on, and use simultaneous shift up and down neutral activation. What basically means this, that I will not be able to put the neutral in any way except pressing my both shifters at the same time. So if I want to go to neutral for some reason that I want to put reverse, you know, for example, I have to press both shifters like up and down at the same time. Which I would say is a good thing. For example, imagine you are in a race and you need to go to the first gear properly. You're just spamming the downshift, you know, and then you don't have to worry about putting neutral by accident or pressing some button on the keyboard or something to put neutral. And literally only way to go to reverse is like putting neutral with both shifters and then reverse, you know. So it might help. Might help someone. I know Valentin for sure. But that's the first button I'm actually like would like you to know. Right, then obviously we go to the very basics. On the top left, I have a button. I have to go to left to look right. Both of them doesn't do anything in Le Mans Ultimate, but for example, Acetec Corsa Competizione, when you press both left and right look, you can look backwards. So that's kind of a good thing as well. Obviously having the virtual mirror. I like to have it very close to me, because like sometimes when you're in a battle, I really like to, you know, like basically just really quickly look when the car to my left is. It's the same as in a real race car. You always look forward, but sometimes you just want to like really like quickly like look or something, what the hell's going on, you know? Then right below it, I have another 2 buttons. On the left side, I have my very important, the flash button. In the multi-class racing, I would say very necessary to have this button. It's not about being like annoying, like, hey, you want to pass or something. I'm trying to use the button as little possible, but at the same time, I like to use the flash button to, sometimes you're approaching the, let's say, slower car or any car, like back marker in some bad place, or in some really heavy place, like a high speed place. So I just like flash and tell them, hey, I'm coming, you know, to just remind, just in case, maybe they haven't seen me, maybe it's gonna help, you know. On the opposite side of the right side, I have my pit limiter. Obviously, extremely important in Le Mans Ultimates or any online racing when you do have pit stops. Again, I like to have it in a good place, to have it very close. As I guess, I'm trying to really start with the basics, you know, just You can forward the video if you want to. Then on the left side, I have my wiper. I have it like to the stages of the wipers, you know. Again, very simple, a lot of rain, right? Like, I don't like to use the automatic functions. I usually try to use the manual. In ACC, I'm using the manual pit limiter like most of the time, but in any other sim, I'm using everything manual, you know. Here on my left side though, I have my button that I really like. On the right side, I hope you can see it, guys. I really hope you can see it from this camera angle. This one, for me, is a traction control override. I will just show you in the settings really quickly. Car control, traction control override. It is this button. What it does, if you hold the button, your TC is off. Simple as that. Now, I don't use it in a hypercars or LMP2s too often. But let's say second corner second Stavelo in Spa, maybe Eau Rouge sometimes, like Radion. Sometimes you can find like a little bit of half a 10 for something when your car is not kicking in a TC. It's basically equivalent to Acero Corsa Competizione running 0 TC. So here, I said, you don't have to use it. I use it minimum, mainly in a quali. It's like Portimao last corner, Stavelo 2, Radion. I hold the button, and what it does, it turns off the TC. So at that point, the TC doesn't get triggered. It can work. I noticed some pro drivers using it in GT3 and stuff like that. It could be a little tip for you, or it can really help you when you spin around. You know, if you spin in the exit of the corner, you need to do 360 really quickly. It kind of helps to have this button in a good place. For me, it works very well. And yeah, maybe you will find 0.05 seconds in a qualification, you know. But yeah, that's what I do. Then, very simple, on my left bottom, I have the ignition button to turn off the engine. And then right to it, I have a starter. Again, this goes more to ACC than Le Mans Ultimate. I have it like binded for Le Mans Ultimate, but I think I have the auto clutch on or something like that, or auto engine on in Le Mans Ultimate. Because in Acero Corsa Competizione, for example, when you go to the pit lane, when you go to your pit, you have to turn off your ignition or turn off your engine. Otherwise, they will not start working on the car. So I have it like, again, like very close to me. Just pop the ignition off before going into the pit lane, stopping the car, then turning on ignition again, and then starting the engine. Or you can just hold the start button to turn it off in Acero Corsa Competizione. Again, these two buttons I don't use in Le Mans Ultimate. I have it set to automatic, but just in case, you know, something could happen, it is ready always. Yeah. Then bottom right, I have a request pit stop. I would say one of the most important buttons in Le Mans Ultimate, because the pit stops is a big part of the racing. So I can pit a request or unrequest. And then I have the right side joystick. I don't think at the left one I have binded. No, the right side joystick I use to adjust my MFD, you know, to adjust my pit stop. You can go left, right, you know, do your strategy. And yeah, that's it. At the same time, on this wheel actually, I could use the joystick, right, or something like that, but I have it the same on Acero Corsa Competizione. I like to use, so you have the top, like I have a wheel that has on the top, I'll try to show you like this. My wheel has the clutches, then shifters, and then extra buttons on the top. I use these on the top for my MFD. So when I want to go left or right or left, I use these on the top because I'm driving, I'm hot lapping, and I just go go to my page, and then I use the joystick to adjust whatever I need. You know, it works me like it helps me very well. So let's say I'm driving, I'm in the exit of the corner. I'm just like I pop up to my menu that I want to change something, and I change it with the joystick really quickly. Just using, you know, when you have a wheel with a lot of buttons, just trying to maximize the stuff as much as possible, kind of works, you know, for me. I just like, I'm as lazy as possible, so I'm trying to have everything as close as possible at the same time. So yeah, those are there. I think the right one here, the clutch on the right side, like here at the bottom, I actually don't use the clutch at all currently. and I have them binded to delete my delta. You know, you can use it for the clutch, as in some, because some, let's say GT cars or real race cars, they don't have a normal pedal as a clutch, but they have the lever, so you can obviously use it in the sim as well. But I use it as a button. Now I have it as a delta reset. If you don't know what is the delta reset, let's say you're driving in a race, you start a race, you're doing the hot laps, and you're doing the laps, you set 1:45.0, then it starts raining, and it's raining until the end of the race, and your delta will be still showing that you're like 10 seconds slower than before. When you reset the delta, it will reset the previous, all the deltas, and you start over. So it's kind of good, it's kind of handy, because, for example, it's good when the race is going from wet to dry, or from dry to wet. It helps you understand how much the track got faster or slower at the same time. So I kind of like to use that. Then on the right side of the wheel, I don't use this button. I probably should bind it. In ACC, this button for me is the timetable, so I can see the results really quickly, so I can drive and I can look where is who, you know, around on the track. But in Le Mans Ultimate, I can't pop the screen with that, so I'm not using that button. Another button, and I really recommend having this button ready for Le Mans Ultimate. Whatever you do in Le Mans Ultimate, I would definitely recommend having this button, but also having it in a very safe place, so you don't accidentally use it. I have it on this little top thing that I never use, and if I pop to the right, it resets my force feedback. Really good feature for Le Mans Ultimate. Unfortunately, you can't reset force feedback in Assetto Corsa Competizione, but I really wish you could. But in Le Mans Ultimate, yes, this reset button, obviously be careful, do it when your wheel is straight and stuff like that, or you don't have to, but be careful, because there's gonna be like a pop in a steering wheel. So yeah, it's like, because sometimes you can alt up, sometimes there might be some issue, game freeze, whatever, driver swap error, and you lose your force feedback. Or you might be like, man, this is something weird happening, you know? So, or your wheel disconnect or something. That reset force feedback button is a lifesaver. But I really recommend not putting it somewhere where you can accidentally press it, because to me what happened one time in a race is I was driving, and in the middle of the corner, somehow in a high speed middle of the corner, I somehow pressed the reset force feedback button, and it, for like a split of a second, it gets really high up on the force feedback, and I crashed, you know. I crashed. So be careful on that. On the other side, I have like putting on the minimap just in case, and the headlights on and off on the right side. I literally like try to have the most important stuff on the screen and stuff. Right, then the most, or not most important, but the very important buttons that you will be using in most of the driving. Right, I will start with one of the button that I use a lot is when you're driving the hypercar. On the left side here, I have sticker ERS. Here I change the engine motor map. This is important as well to have. You can obviously do it in an FFD if you want, but sorry, where is it? Here, but it's like all the way at the bottom, right? So if you have the buttons for it, I like to change the motor map. It's very simple. You have the preset on your setup for the motor map. That's how much energy you, or how much of the hybrid you're using in a car, right? Or the energy of the car you're using. So you're always trying to be in a race. You don't want to be maximum energy, or sorry, battery. Oh my god, I'm talking about energy. I meant battery. You want to be using the battery in the car. Like, it doesn't affect you if you have like minimum or higher. It doesn't make any difference. If you have 200 or 100, it doesn't make any difference in your pace, but it makes obviously difference in the battery. So therefore, I like to have you don't want to have 100% battery, because if you have 100% battery in a hypercar, your rear brakes will not work. Or sorry, the front brakes will not work, so the rear brakes will be the only thing braking. So it's very easy to crash. So obviously during the race or during the quali, I'm adjusting the motor map, so I'm always, you know, 95% all the way up to 1% on the battery, you know. I think very important button, because if you have a buttons for it on your steering wheel, definitely if you're using hypercar, have it binded, because you really want to go up and down, you know. So like I'm very ready here, I'm just driving. For the start of the race, for example, you don't want to go to the first corner with 100% battery, so you put it on the maximum. Then after the first corner, I go back to my normal, and then during the race, I'm adjusting whatever I need to do to have the battery ready. I hope it makes sense, guys. I'm literally just what I'm using, how am I using it. Maybe it will give you some tip or something, you know. As I said, I'm very lazy, so I like to have the stuff as close to me as possible. You obviously you don't need to have a steering wheel with 100 buttons. You can have a button box or something like that. This is literally just how I use stuff, guys, and I hope it's a good tip for you as well. Then here, this is very interesting. I have my engine map at the bottom, which is again for ACC. I'm like using both at the same time. I am using for ACC the engine map in terms of engine map in ACC, you know, if you need to change on some stuff. And then in the middle I have my ABS, which is obviously not working on a hypercar, but it's more for the GT3. Because sometimes on a GT3, again, same ACC, Le Mans Ultimate, you want to drop the ABS, you want to increase the ABS depending on the track and conditions, and sometimes the corners. Now in Le Mans Ultimate it's very confusing because you have that oversteer, understeer, and stuff like that, ABS. So sometimes you use the maximum, which is like the understeer, right? And then you go into the hairpin, you drop it to a bit more oversteer so you can turn a little better. In ACC, let's say using, I don't know, 2 ABS, then it starts raining, you go 1 or 3 or 4, depending on your car and stuff like that, you know, so important there. Then I have 3 TC buttons. I have the one on the right side, or like middle, which is the one I'm using the least. This is the TC cut. This is how much the engine's gonna, you know, cut in the corners or on the acceleration when you go on a throttle. So this is important to find a good balance. This is all about the setup, right? Like this is not about the car itself, but this is like one of the most important traction control setting, because it's the one that makes the biggest difference as well. Because if you have a cut 1, just try, you know, put it on 0, like have a TC on maximum or something, but try cut on 0 or maximum, you will notice a huge difference like in that. So I'm always trying to find like a good balance. I think on most of the cars I usually go like 4 to 6, something like that, and that's literally what's causing like the car doing like on acceleration that it doesn't want to go, right? Then here, left bottom, I have the slip angle, how much we want to slide and stuff like that, allow the car to slide. So this is the one we are using here. This is again, we usually use on a GT cars is like 4, 5, even 0, right, depending. But on a hypercars we usually have the like 9, you know, or something like that. And then the normal traction control, the overall control of the traction control, I have here, because that's the one I'm usually adjusting as well during the race. So let's say we have a race, I want to adjust the motor map as much as possible or as much as needed, and then at the same time here I can just slide for traction control to work on that. The rest I don't have to touch too much. It's usually like what you have on a setup usually works, you know, for the race and the quality, but maybe on a worn tires you want to adjust that a little bit and work with that a little bit. I hope it makes sense, guys. Then on the right side on the steering wheel I have the brake bias. Again, depending on the race, depending on the setup, if my setup is too aggressive, when the tires are too worn, I can go a little bit more forward or the backwards, you know, stuff like that. Really depending on you and depending how you drive. Here you can also adjust the more buttons, but I have it like prepared like here. I don't use this button as well. It's like I have several buttons like ready for stuff, but I'm not using it exactly like in Le Mans Ultimate currently. So yeah, so TC, TC slip, TC cut, then ABS, and then brake bias is like what I have like around, you know, like to have it very close to myself when I'm driving. I am thinking when I have here the brake bias on the right side, I'm thinking actually changing that to anti-roll bar settings, like here and here. It's very simple said. On hypercar you can adjust the anti-roll bar, but I don't do the adjustments too often, and when I'm doing them I want to do them precise. So I usually keep the anti-roll bar here on the menu, then putting it on the buttons. The most important for me on the display that I'm checking, I never thought I will need a wheel with the display, by the way, but since I got this Forte wheel, I'm using, in Assetto Corsa Competizione it was a big help, even on the Invicta already before. The big help was that I can read the temperatures, that I don't need any extra app, you know, because for example for Assetto Corsa Competizione I needed extra app to be able to know how my tires are hot during driving. But on the wheel, I can already read that, you know, so it's gonna help in these things, and obviously the fuel and stuff like that, calculation as well is helpful and such. So the back side of the wheel, these two buttons I use to navigate my MFD, which is my menu for the pit stop and stuff like that. Shifting, the classic, and here the clutches, I'm not using as the clutches, but I'm using them as a reset my delta time. I just want to show a funny thing. On an Invicta, I used to be using a button here. There's a button on the back as well. That's what I was using for the clutch, but it doesn't work anymore. in a Le Mans Ultimate, they fixed the clutch. So here I have my motor map to be able to change my motor map on the hypercar or GT3. Left view, right view. Then I have my flashlight button. Here is my wipers. Here is my pit limiter, and here is my traction control override button. Then we go down, my traction control, my normal traction control, slip angle or slip traction control. Then, then here I have my TC cut, ABS or engine for Assetto Corsa Competizione, and yeah, brake bias on the right, on here, and yeah. And the joystick for, I'm using this right joystick because I prefer to use the right side on the wheel for adjusting the stuff. But yeah, that's it, and my pit request button. So yeah, that's it guys, that's it. This is on my Forte wheel, and here is my reset for the force feedback. It's like a little joystick to the right. So it's like, it's not in a way, so I will not ever press it basically. So like here, and here on the left side I have minimap, and here I have my headlights. To put, you know, it's just using the maximum of the wheel. I said, you don't need to have this wheel, you can have whatever wheel you have. Maybe it will help you with the importance of the buttons, guys. Let me know in the comments if this helps in any way, guys, because as I said, we did this like 4 years ago on my for my Assetto Corsa Competizione, and obviously everyone has a different bind setting. Somebody has like a massive button boxes and stuff like that, but I wanted to give you maybe it will help you guys, because I consider myself quite decent driver. We are most of the time in a split one and such in any game we play. So yeah, I wanted to just give you a bit of tips and such, and maybe you will find some button that you don't even use, and you will understand that it's maybe better to have in a certain position, stuff like that. Let me know in the comments, guys, and I hope this will help to improve your Le Mans Ultimate experience. And yeah. We'll talk to you later, guys. Thank you so much. Leaving a like and subscribe to my channel, guys, and join our Discord. Thank you so much.